Hi, it's Matt. In this video, we're going to talk about how to add and subtract matrices. So first off, let's start with adding. So to add matrices, what we're going to do is that we're going to do it element by element. And what that means is here. So if we're adding a matrix A, so our first matrix, to a matrix B, our second matrix, the top left entry of our sum matrix will be just A11 plus B11, or the top left entry of each matrix that we start with. More mathematically written, if we're adding a matrix A and a matrix B to get a matrix C, we're going to find that Cij, so an element in our sum matrix, is just equal to the sum of the corresponding elements in each matrix that we're adding. So we also need to note that for us to be able to add a matrix element by element, the matrices must be the same size. So when we add matrix A to matrix B, matrix A and B must have an equal number of rows and columns. So let's do an example of this. Let's sum matrix A and matrix B, where matrix A and B are as they're given here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to write A plus B. We're going to ask what we're going to write what we're asked to find. And then we're going to sub in what we're given. So we're going to plug in matrix A on the right, and we're going to plug in matrix B on the left. Now that we've subbed in the matrices we're given, next we're going to just want to set up a matrix where we're going to write the result of our sum. And now we're going to go element by element. So we know that the top left element will be 11 plus 2, because the 1, 1 entry in the matrix we get when summing will be the sum of the top left entry in matrix A plus the top left entry of matrix B. Next, we know that the second entry in A plus B will be negative 3 plus 0, because again, we're going to take the second entry in the top row of matrix A and sum it to the second entry in the top row of matrix B. And we'll continue doing this. I'm not going to show it for all 6 to get the following. We get 11 plus 2, negative 3 plus 0, 8 plus 1, negative 8 plus negative 5, 6 plus negative 8, and 4 plus negative 4. Now that we have this matrix here, all that's left to do is simplify these sums. And doing so gives us that the sum, so A plus B, will be 13, negative 3, 9, negative 13, negative 2, and 0. And that's it. That's all we have to do to sum the matrix, so our result is what we have here. Next, let's briefly talk about how to subtract a matrix. Now let's talk how to subtract matrices. It's going to be very similar to adding. We're again going to do it element by element. So we even see that when we write it out, it's the same as what we had earlier, just now we're going to put a minus, of course, between the matrices because we're subtracting them. And then we're going to take the difference of each element. So all those pluses from earlier are now minuses. And so when we get our difference matrix, or the result of our subtraction, we're going to have A11 minus B11, for example. And if we want to write this more mathematically, if we say matrix C is the difference of matrix A and B, then Cij is going to be equal to Aij minus Bij. So again, that's just saying when we subtract matrix B from matrix A, each entry will be the corresponding entry in matrix A minus the corresponding entry in matrix B. And just like with addition, in subtraction, we also need matrices of the same size for subtraction to be defined. So now let's do an example of subtracting matrices. So let's find the difference, so matrix A minus matrix B, when matrix A and B are as given. So just as with addition, the first thing we're going to do is write what we're asked to find, so A minus B, and then plug in our matrices. So we'll plug in what we're given for matrix A, and we'll plug in what we're given for matrix B. From here, we'll set up a matrix to write each of our element by element subtractions in, the first of which being 4 minus 3. The way we get 4 minus 3 for our 1, 1 entry is the top left entry of our A matrix is 4, and the top left entry of our B matrix is 3, so we're going to subtract them. Now, just plugging in what we have for the others, we have the 4 minus 3 we already discussed. We'll have 13 minus a negative 3, which we get from this entry and this entry. And then the bottom row is just the same thing, just we'll have 12 minus 4 to get this entry here, and then negative 8 minus 1 to get this entry here. Now all the linear algebra, so to speak, is done, and now we just need to do our individual subtractions. And doing so gives us that A minus B is going to give us 1, 16, 8, negative 9. So this matrix here is our final answer for the subtraction. Thank you so much for watching. That's all I have. Have a great day, and leave any questions you have below. Thank you.